we're back. Fix the PSTN so it sends in 0 now, and the calls do route in properly. Also, the gateway needed a no MGCP. All right, so let's take a look at task 11.2, call forward on unregister. So we're told to provision call forward on unregister for phones at the branch 1 site using the PSTN line 2 number, which corresponds to a local number for branch 1, and then to test by using SRST controls by logging into your members.ini account if you're using INE rack rentals and selecting branch 1 SRST on, and then the address of the branch 1 phone in front of you. So first off, let's take a look here on our CUCM admin interface. Phones. Now we can do these individually. Do this individually by phone, and I'll go ahead and pull up one phone to show you on the line. Probably seen this before, but where the forward unregistered internal or external is. We put in a destination and then the calling search space. Also do this through the BAT tool, and we want to do phones, and instead of update phones, we want to actually search and update line. Update any directory number that begins with a 2, 2001 and 2002, and we specifically want to check the tick boxes for forward on register internal, destination in CSS, and external, destination in CSS. Destination CSS as something that can route where we want to route the calls to, and then for the actual number, +1. Again, for line 2 is 512-602. +1, 512-602. Go ahead and say there's no restart. That's only if you're updating phones. This will actually do a restart. Say run immediately and call forward on unregister. This will tell us to look at the job scheduler. This takes almost no time to complete a job of this small a size. We take a look at the logs. There were no failures, so our phones should have the call forward on unregister set properly on the lines. And take a look. Actually, call forward on unregister, we don't want to be set to line 2 of the device. Let me see, is that what the task said? We're actually going to want them to be their own extension, which is why I wanted to use BAT tool. So change the wording there, but we're actually going to want to update the lines, their own extension for when they're in. Don't need to change the CSS, that was already set. What we do want is plus, and again, no backslash, +1, 512-602, XXXX. Okay, so we basically want this to be the same as their proper DID. Proper DID, but with the plus styling format. Are in SRST, which has actually already been pre-provisioned for you for this task. Yep, there we go. Update for both. Maybe I forgot to check the tick box for it. Okay. We'll go ahead and restart those phones just in case. course, this is more, since it's unregistered, it's more of a configuration that just stays in C. And so now we'll go ahead and log into members.ine.com. Actually, I've already got the access control list that the members.ine account sets up for you. Phones in front of me, at least the one phone I want to register. The ACL that it actually goes out and writes. Out. That turned on, and let's verify. Good. So this phone should be rolling into SRST here. Check our one. It should be. Once this phone registers, I do already have, there we go, registered. Actually, both phones have fallen back. And I've actually already got a voice translation rule that's going to handle inbound calls, and it's applied to the voice interface. So now, if we have a phone, let's say a standard phone here, jack that tries to call extension 2001. Okay, it's ringing busy. Let's try that again and see if it's version there. Call forward on unregistered set. Format. Registered. Check and make sure Jack could dial if he went to corporate directory and looked up okay. So there's a problem. So we need to troubleshoot what this is. So first of all, we do have a \+1 512 602 2XXX, right? We just got done doing that, right? But what does this do, this translation pattern? It translates everything to 4 digits, right? So when we're ringing extension 2001 and it's unregistered, what's happening? It's translating that number up to, well, it's formatted in globalized format, so it's basically translating or transforming our 2001 into +1 512 206, or sorry, 602 2001. But that matches this, because it's the most specific, and translates it back to 4 digits. So we have a routing loop is what's going on here. So I left this in the partition internal for that reason, that we want to be able to catch and prevent this routing loop. So we're actually going to need to make this work properly to create another partition, and because we don't want this to, we don't want this to be seen by our call forward on register, we are going to, let's create a partition and call it internal instead of DN, let's call it internal directory. Okay, and then we're also going to create another calling search space, not going to contain that, and we're going to call this one CSS call forward on Unregister. Now we're going to give CSS call forward on Unregister what you might normally see in terms of US phones, or in fact, we're actually going to give it dial device to Netherlands, US, and internal DNs. Not going to give it access to the partition internal directory. So we're going to come back to our translation patterns, and we're going to assign these patterns to the internal directory. Currently, nobody can see this partition, so we'll remedy that as well. Now, these three patterns are in the partition internal directory, which cannot be seen by the CSS that we're going to go back, and I'm actually going to do this from BAT again. Directory number begins with 2 lines, and I'm only going to update the calling search space for registered to CSS call forward unregistered. Okay, and now in order to make sure that my last task still works, I need to go back to my calling search spaces for Netherlands and US devices and make sure that they can see the internal directory one. So phones, when they're dialing, can see the internal directory. US, let's do it to Netherlands. However, the call forward on Unregister, special CSS, cannot see that. Okay? So now let's try that call again. 2001. And now the call's ringing in, we can hear. Call left, corporate headquarters, came in the branch 1 gateway, and is currently ringing to that branch 1 phone. In fact, if I go off hook and mute this here briefly and do a show voice call status, we can see that the call came in dial peer 1 and is leaving through 20,019, which show dial peer voice summary shows us that is the end of 2001. And it's to the port 5002, which is the POTS port for that branch 1 SRST phone. Okay, but now that we've killed that call, let's go ahead and make sure that the corporate directory still works as well, since we modified it. So we'll do Desmond and try to dial, and this call should not be leaving the gateway. There's nothing coming in branch 2. Call is ringing, and we see that the ANI and DNIS was translated to 4 digits. Now, why was the ANI and DNIS translated to 4 digits? So this is the called number, because I'm the person calling. So this is the called number, and this is the calling. Let's go back and look at our translation pattern here real briefly. used. It was the \+31. So we translated DNIS to 4 digits. So that's the reason that if I just go back and hit redial, that's the reason that on my calling phone that the DNIS shows up as 4 digits, because we translated it here. But what about on the reciprocating or the receiving phone? We see ANI as 4 digits. That's because we never clicked Use Calling Party's External Phone Number Mask. If we had done this, all I have to do is stop the call and hit redial, and now they would see the external phone number mask. But that's not our desired result. The desired effect was only to see 4 digits. Well, so now we have call forward on Unregister working with simple 4-digit dial, and we took care to make sure that we didn't break our previous task.